Okay. Okay na? If you have questions, you have to ask. Okay, feel free to ask. Goods na. Okay. The difference between contextual analysis and social criticism. Okay. So when we speak about contextual analysis, you are just identifying the environment. Okay. Where the text is situated. So, what are the surrounding circumstances in a text? Say, for example, uh, an analysis of the text Soledad, for example. So we have the poem Soledad. So, if you're going to use contextual analysis in analyzing that poem, you would identify the religious context. Okay? So the religious context there. So what specific ideas or religious ideas are followed or not followed in that poem. So by looking at the religious context of the poem, we would arrive on a certain analysis of that poem. That's contextual analysis. Kaya nga context, it's the environment. So we get uh, information, we get our analysis on the surrounding circumstances in the text. Whereas in social criticism, it's more on identifying power imbalance. In a certain text, say for example, you're analyzing a certain text, and then nakita mo that there is imbalance in terms of power. Yes, power relations. There is the poor and there is the rich. So you have a character who is a poor and you have a character who is rich. Then, okay, when you apply social criticism, you would try to understand the text based on the existing relationship between the rich and the poor. And you would try to arrive at a sociological thought of that situation, of that relationship. Yun yung pinagkaiba ng contextual analysis sa social criticism. For social criticism, you make use of the context. However, it's more on the social significance of the text. What social truths or what social realities can be gleaned or can be seen in the text. Yun nga yung sinabi ko kanina that when you try to identify power imbalance in a certain text, you're actually doing social criticism. Whereas in contextual analysis, it's not specific to the social context of the text. Rather, it goes even into, sabi ko nga, religious context, what else, historical context, those things. Okay? If you do those things, you are doing contextual analysis. If you are trying to identify power imbalance in a text and how this power imbalance in the text would relate to certain social realities, you are doing social criticism. I think that's the best explanation I could give regarding the difference between contextual analysis and social criticism. Any other questions? Questions? my recommendations, you could actually make use of several approaches or theories in analyzing the text or the poem style. But since we are not yet done with a lot of theories, I suggest that you do a reader response theory or approach in analyzing the text. It would depend on your experiences as a reader. Okay, so what is your experience in reading the text as a reader? Okay, anyway, we will discuss later on reader response criticism. Any more? Any clarificatory questions? I think I have to rediscuss formalism. Okay, you have to understand that in literary criticism, it's very important to identify the source of analysis. Who or which one dictates how to analyze the text. So several sources could provide us an understanding of a text. The first one, okay, it could be the author. Okay, the author could give us an understanding of a text. But what if the author is not present? So how could we get information or how could we analyze the text if the author is not present, especially if the author is already dead? Okay, another source of information could be the what? It could be the text. Okay? Sometimes the text would determine or identify the meaning. Okay? It would determine the steps on how you're going to carry out the process of analyzing the text. And of course, aside from the text, it could also be the okay, it could also be the reader. So you as the reader could actually, or you actually have the ability to create, okay, or yes, to make your own analysis of the text depending on how you're going to your how you're going to attack the text. Okay? So under formalist theory, under formalism, the main source of information, the main source of analysis would be the text. Okay? Not the author. Okay? Not even the reader. Not even you, the reader. So it is the text that has the central role. Okay? Remember that one. The text has the central role in analyzing it. Okay? Therefore, if we say that the text has a central role in our analysis of the text, it is then the text that provides, okay, the analysis or the procedures in analyzing a text. Okay? Kasi pag sinabi nating formalism, formalism basically is a theory that tries to it's a theory that demands the writer of an analysis paper of his objective valuation of the text. Since we are focusing on the formal, okay, formal elements of the text, we could safely say that formalism then provides us an objective understanding of a text. So the approach is very objective since our focus would only be on the different elements of the text. Okay? Next, okay? Since we wanted to arrive to an objective evaluation of our text, it is then very important to note that under formalism, there are things that we should disregard. What are these things? First, okay, biography of the author. Hindi natin kailangan ang biography ng author. There's no need for us to know who the author is, even his or her background. Okay? Next, we do not need any historical backgrounds about the text. We do not even need the context of the text. Okay? Under a formalist approach or a formalism, okay, these three and any external influences are deemed to be irrelevant. They are irrelevant. Okay? Meaning, they are not important. Hindi sila kailangan sa pag-a-analyze. Okay? So, ang kailangan natin, the only thing that we need under formalism is or are the elements of the text. What makes up the text? What certain elements are present in the text that we could use in analyzing the text? Okay? Questions? Okay. Jill, what is the difference between critical reading approaches and literary theories? When do we use them? Okay. Literary theories are more technical than critical reading approaches in the sense, and they are more specific. Say for example, we have several critical reading approaches like contextual analysis, social criticism, yes, of course, the use of approaches. Some theories would fall under specific approaches, like social criticism, okay? So, feminist theory, Marxist theory fall under social criticism. Yung mga yon. Parang yung tinatawag nating critical reading approaches, these are just techniques on how to read a text. Whereas, for literary theories, these are sets of assumptions. These are sets of principles in reading a text. Yun yung main difference nila. When do we use them? You could actually use them side by side. Okay? Say for example, while using a feminist theory, you need to use you may use contextual analysis or you may use a social criticism. While using or while identifying the feminist ideas or feminist points in a certain text, you're actually doing social criticism. Ganun lang naman yung difference nila. Theoretical about or development of theory using literary text and yes, Zach. It's more tama ka, Zach, that when we speak about theoretical criticism, they provide an understanding on how to do these procedures. Kumbaga, simply put, they provide the procedures, while for the practical criticism, they carry out these procedures. It's a matter of theory and practice. Yun lang yung difference ng theoretical criticism at practical criticism. Any more questions? Saan ba tayo nag-stop? Okay, going back to our discussion on formalism, sabi ko nga, backgrounds about the author, historical backgrounds, basically the context of the text. These are seen as irrelevant points or irrelevant matters in understanding a text. What we need is a text, and we have to identify the different elements of this text. Sabi ko nga, you as the reader, you are not given the opportunity to insert your personal judgment of the text. It's because the text should only be the sole provider of meaning, not you the reader, but the text. So how are we going to carry out, or how are we going to use then formalism in analyzing a text? Actually, we did that already. Okay? Can we use this theory in analyzing style? Yes. Actually, using a formalist approach or a theory, formalism is one of the best theories that you could use in attacking the poem style. See, identify the key literary elements of a text. Okay. John Paul, I'm going to answer your question by providing how you're going to, or what are the steps in identify, or steps in carrying out a formalistic reading of a certain text. Okay? Ganito lang yan. What we did, if you could still remember, when we had our discussion of Soledad, we actually made use of a formalistic approach. Okay? A formalistic approach in some parts of our discussion. Pag sinabi kasi natin yung formalistic approach, it's more on identifying the different literary elements. Okay? For example, we have Soledad. Okay? So, when you make use of a formalistic approach in Soledad, di ba, we identified who the speaker is, sino yung addressee, what type of poem is that, asan dun yung octave, asan dun yung sestet, asan dun yung couplet, and what's the significance of the octave, what's the significance of the sestet, ano yung rhyme scheme. Okay, by identifying those, you're actually doing a formalistic reading of a text. Okay? Very formalist yon. Pag ganun na yung approach mo. So, by looking at those elements, ano ba yung point of view? Is there a repetition of lines? And what's the significance of this repetition? Ano yung mga figures of speech? Yung mga yon, those things constitute to what we call a formalist reading of a text. Ganun lang yon. Okay? Kaya nga sabi ko, you don't need the context, you don't need the background of the text in order for you to interpret it, or in order for you to make a formalistic analysis of the text. So long as you know the different elements, alam mo yung difference ng speaker sa addressee, alam mo yung different figures of speech, you know how to identify whether it's formal, informal, or the language is formal or informal, the point of view, what else, the diction, the kind of words used, the tone, the mood. Okay, by looking at those different elements of the text, you're actually doing a formalistic reading of a text. Ganun lang yon. Okay? Kaya siya objective kasi nga walang pakialam yung opinion mo sa text. Okay? Yun yung sinasabi kong na hindi mo kailangan ng internet, kumbaga, okay, para lang makapag-analyze. Yun yung sinabi ko din kanina umaga na usually pag may mga examinations, then they let the students read a text, analyze a text. Usually ito yung pinapagamit, formalism. Kasi nga, hindi mo kailangan mag-research. Okay? So long as you know the different elements, you could identify the different elements present in the text. You're actually doing a formalist analysis of that text. Okay? Any more questions? But nag-error. Yun lang naman. Okay? Any more questions? Questions? Tama. Tama John Paul. Yung close reading, yun yung sinasabi ko kanina that some of the critical approaches that you're going, when you make use of a certain theory, uh, in analyzing a text, you have to make use of some critical reading approaches. Sabi ko nga, when you make use of formalism, you're actually doing social criticism. I mean, when you're using Marxism, you are doing social criticism. When you are doing formalism, you're actually doing a close reading of a certain text. Kaya nga, maganda na alam niyo yung critical reading approaches para you could use these approaches when you make use of a certain theory in analyzing a text. Okay? The step-by-step process, Neil, ano lang naman yan? You just identify the different elements. Close reading. Okay? You have to identify those elements. Medyo, para sa akin, parang medyo boring ang analysis ng text when it uses a formalistic approach. Para sa akin, okay, medyo naboboringan ako. Pero maganda siya. Okay? Kasi sabi nga nila, we have to start first with these elements. Okay? We have to start first with these elements. Any more questions? Can we use 2 or 3 approaches in analyzing a text? It depends on Daniel, it depends on what is the focus of your paper. So for example, if your paper focuses on women, then probably you will make use of feminist theory. However, meron kasing other theories that na parang how do you call that one? They overlap with each other. Like a feminism and Marxism. There are certain points or some points in feminism and Marxism. These are 2 theories anyway. Okay, na they overlap with each other. Specifically in feminism, sometimes feminists or writers who are making use of the feminist theory would also understand the situation of women in the context of their profession or in the context of their jobs. So by looking at the context or the situation of women in relation to their job, you're also actually in some point touching Marxist ideas. Okay? So pwedeng minsan naghahalo yung mga theories, especially if some theories are closely related with each other. Sabi ko nga, parang yung feminism and Marxism, they both fall under social criticism. So, may mga principles or assumptions ang feminism that are the same with some of the basic tenets or principles of Marxism. Okay? So, pwede siya. But there should only be one theory na pinaka-main theory na ginamit mo sa pag-analyze mo. Okay? Sir, ano ulam mo? Visit ka. Adobo, bakit? May discussion din po ba doon? Discussion din po ba doon? Saan? Ay, sa feminism tsaka Marxism, yes. May discussion doon. Okay? Madaming theory, madami akong i-discuss na theory. Okay? Separate sila. Siguro yung discussion ko on Marxism and feminism, pre-recorded na siya, hindi na siya live. Okay? Any more? Okay, I think we could move on with the next theory. Kasi madali lang tong next theory na to eh. Okay, the reader response theory. Or we call it the RR criticism. Para mas mabilis. Okay. Kanina, when we discuss formalism, sabi natin that when a writer makes use of the formalist theory or formalism in analyzing a text, that writer or the ones making that analysis is actually trying to arrive on an objective evaluation of a text. A different scenario is given when one makes use of reader response criticism. Okay, babalik tayo sa sinabi ko kanina on the different sources of information, okay, or sources of analysis of a certain text. Okay? Sabi ko kanina, it could be the author, it could also be the text, and it could also be the reader. Now, if hindi pa ako pwedeng mag-live sa YouTube kasi wala pa akong 1,000 subscribers. Okay? Kung gusto niya din mag-subscribe kayo. Okay. Sabi natin kanina, sa formalism, ang source of information or the maker of analysis or the sole maker of analysis is the text. Okay? Another story is told by the reader response criticism. It's for this theory, it's actually the reader who determines the meaning of a text. Okay? Paano yung assumption niya? Okay? For reader response criticism, it tries to highlight the idea or the crucial role of the reader in analyzing a text. Sa formalist kanina, ang center ay yung text. For reader response criticism, the sole maker of analysis would be the reader. Siya lang. Okay? Kung dinisregard natin yung historical background ng or biographical background of the author kanina, sa reader response criticism, pwede nating magamit yung mga yon. They are not seen as irrelevant because what we are trying to arrive here in reader response criticism is the experience of the text towards, the experience of the reader towards the text. So it's more on the subjective evaluation of the text. Subjective siya. Kasi nga, yung analysis nakadepende sa reader. Nakadepende sa naging experiences ng reader. Okay? Ngayon, paano naman to? Since the reader response criticism focuses more on the reader, therefore, the reader then is the one who would make the analysis or who would make meaning out of the text. Question, is it possible then that there would be more than one valid interpretation of a text when one makes use or when we use reader response criticism? The answer is yes. For reader response criticism, one of its basic assumptions is that there is more than one valid interpretation. Okay? There is more than one valid interpretation of the text since, okay, every reader of a certain text, for example, iisang text yan and several readers, okay, it would assume, reader response criticism would assume that every reader of the same text would have different experience of a text. For example, okay, we have reader 1 and reader 2. Reader 1 would have a different understanding of a text with reader 2. So, for example, you have a dog, okay? Say, for example, reader 1 has a negative experience towards a dog. And reader 2 has a positive one kasi nga dog lover siya, for example. Okay? So, magkaiba na sila ng perception towards that dog. Okay? But still, it's valid. Okay? Kasi nga, nakadepende yun sa experiences ng reader. Now, putting that one in our discussion of, say for example, a poem. Okay? Soledad. If you would read Soledad, okay? Tapos ikaw yung religious person, you would arrive at a different interpretation of that poem. Okay? Compared to a one na hindi siya ganon, or how do you call that one? Hindi siya ganon, or compared to a reader na mas open. Magiging magkaiba kayo ng interpretation kasi nga magkaiba din kayo ng background. Okay? Now, kung ganon, so paano yon? Paano yon na there would be more than one valid interpretation? Okay? So, ang gagawin mo ngayon dyan is that since you have a background knowledge, or experience, so since you're going to use your experience in analyzing a certain text, so you would now think of the response of your readers upon reading your essay. Okay? Yun na lang, dun ka na lang. Kahit magkakaiba-iba kayo ng interpretation of the text because it's very subjective. It's very subjective in nature. Pero, dun ka sa what would be the response of my readers when they read my essay. Okay? Ganun lang sa reader response criticism. Magkakaiba-ibang interpretation kasi nga magkakaiba-iba ng experiences. Magkakaiba-iba ng background. Okay. When, may I ask you, okay, of this one. If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a noise? That's the question. John Paul? Yes. Yes, John Paul. Based sa response ng reader sa text. Okay? Magkakaiba-iba kasi ng responses ang readers sa isang certain text kasi nga magkakaiba-iba tayo ng experiences, background knowledge, and so on. It's based on your own interpretation, based again on different experiences, past experiences, and how you're going to relate on the text. Okay? Yun, pwedeng sabihin natin na it's your own interpretation given that you would provide textual evidences. Okay? Now, we go back to my question. If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a noise? What's your answer? Kailangan, Neil, kailangan ng textual evidences. What's the answer? If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a noise? What's your answer? Daniel, yes. Why? In relation to reader response criticism, ha? Okay, those who say that it does make a noise, you click the thumbs up. Yung mga sinasabi na it does not make a noise, you click the heart one. Okay? How do you call that one? The heart button. In relation to reader response criticism. Okay? Answers. Answers. Is it a thumbs up or a heart one? If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a noise? Thumbs up kung it does make a noise. Heart kung hindi. Okay, I could see Zach says no. Jessie says no. Who's Ren Garden? Who's Ren Garden? Pearl says yes. Shan says, I don't know, yes or no. Daniel says yes. Irela says yes. Okay, Zach, why no? Bakit no? Even yung Abjil, why no? And Pearl, why yes? Daniel, bakit yes? Nag-CR. Nag-CR daw si Zach. Abjil. What about you, Abjil? Jessie, no one is around. Walang nakarinig, that's why it does not make a noise. That's according to Jessie. Good point. What about Abjil? What about, sino pa yung nag-yes? Justin. Daniel. Noise is associated with disturbance. Since no one is around, walang madi-disturb. Okay, good point, Zach. According to Hannah, sir, because we are considering the people who will read your essay. Okay? Good point. No, sir, because people are the ones who classify sound as a noise, and there are no people around the forest to say that a noise was made. That's correct. Okay. In line with reader response criticism, the answer to this question would be no. It only then highlights the idea or the crucial role of the reader in analyzing a text. Okay. Ang sinasabi ng reader response criticism, okay, there should be a reader that would make an interpretation of the text. even if there is a text, okay, even if there is a text, pero wala namang reader, okay, para wala namang reader, according sa reader response criticism, there would be no analysis. Kasi nga, it's the reader who will make the analysis of that text. Okay? So, hindi, how do you call that one? Walang kwenta yung text kung wala namang reader na magbabasa nun, wala namang reader na mag-a-analyze doon. Okay? So, for example, in your relationship, okay, walang kwenta yung feelings mo kung wala namang nakaka-appreciate nun or hindi naman na-appreciate ng taong yun. Parang ganon. Walang kwenta yung text kung walang reader. Or sometimes, in your relationship, sabi nyo, okay, wala akong kwenta kung wala ka sa buhay ko. Same is true with reader response criticism. It's very important that there is a reader who will interpret the text para magkaroon ng analysis. Okay? What else? Any more questions? Yun lang ang reader response criticism. The background of the reader is very relevant. It's very relevant kasi dun manggagaling yung analysis. An experience of the text would depend on how the reader interacts with the text. Kasi nga, yung sabi ko kanina, ulitin ko na naman, every reader interacts with the text differently because every reader comes from different background. Okay? Or backgrounds. Magkakaiba-iba ng background. Okay? So ganun din yon. So, there could be more than one valid interpretation since all of us come from, okay, come from different backgrounds. Okay? Any more questions? Yes. Any more questions? Nako, pag nagpa-quiz ako, pag nag-resume na yung klase, yung pinakamataas yung yung score, may prize. Questions? No more questions? Kailan naman yung Yes! May plus points. Okay, no more questions? No more questions. Okay. I think that's the end of our discussion on reader response criticism. I'll see you on Thursday. Okay.